Today's video is all about doing street photography for the pure enjoyment of the process, and that's why I'm out shooting on film with a tiny little Olympus XA2 that I picked up recently. I also want to try and answer the question, is the process or the result the most important thing in our street photography? When I shoot on digital, it's a completely different vibe to film. I often worry I'm missing moments or try too hard to get good shots, and I get in my own way a bit, especially if I'm trying to make a YouTube video. So sometimes I like to shoot on film just for the pure fun of the process, being out in the world and connecting with the environment and having a bit of a break from my Fuji camera. Of course I still want to try and capture good shots, but when you can't keep checking the back of the camera, I often find it more mentally freeing, apart from obviously the cost of film and developing, which, as I'm not a millionaire, limits how often I can shoot film. I do find I consider shots more when I shoot film though for that reason. You really want to try and make each shot count. Just walking through town and trying my luck to capture some moments is like my therapy and does wonders for my mental health. I'm not really that fussed about how the photos turn out, as I won't see them for a while anyway, though that's not always the case, as I'll touch on a bit later in the video. Even if you don't shoot film and never plan to, that's of course absolutely fine, but I think it can be beneficial to try not to worry about the quality of your images. They don't need to be pin sharp. Instead, focus on the content of your photos, as I've personally never heard someone speak of a powerful moving photo by saying, "Ooh, look how sharp that is." I especially like shooting film in my local town. When I first moved back here during COVID, initially I was just really depressed, especially with the lack of exciting things to photograph around here. But after some time just going out anyway, I saw that there are moments of emotion and fun and strangeness that can happen anywhere. Street photography is all about documenting the human condition, and even in a small or boring place you can do that. And in a way it's even better than shooting London or Paris or New York, because it's where you live, so you have the opportunity to create a unique and meaningful body of work over time.
Alright mate. How you doing? You alright? Good, thanks mate.
If you're like me and you live in a small, sort of traditionally dull place for street photography and you're stuck with things to photograph, then you really have to take advantage of days where there's something going on. For example, like here in Cheltenham, in this video, I went out to photograph the activity at the Literature Festival and the Vintage Market on a few different days over a couple of weeks.
That'll do.
Did you get it?
I've got something. I don't know if I got it. We'll find out when I develop the full role.
If you can find a local event, go and photograph it. People are less likely to care if you photograph them, and there's often much more activity, which can make for some great shots. If all else fails though, then grab a bus or a train to the nearest town or city and go there as much as you can to hone your skills that way. Wherever I go now since I started shooting wider, when I'm on a street photography walk, I'm keeping my eyes open for triggers that pique my interest and might make a great shot. I'm always looking for people with character, gestures, interactions with the potential for a special moment, and I'm also searching for things that seem out of the ordinary, a little strange, as that's what I find to be interesting at the moment. Over time you learn to anticipate a moment just before it happens, and this is a very difficult thing to get good at, but you naturally do improve seeing things happen this way the more time you spend out with your camera. I also find that having a small camera, whether that's film or digital, doesn't really matter, can help with confidence on the street too. In the beginning, when I wanted to photograph strangers candidly up close, I was very nervous and hesitant, and that really came across in my work. It took a lot of time and the process of going out over and over again, each time trying to be a bit bolder and not worrying if people noticed me taking their photo. Taking pictures of people candidly is really important to me, as I want to document the moments of everyday life as they occur, completely unrehearsed. As soon as you ask someone for a photo and they put on a persona or a face or a smile or pose, you kind of lose the magic of that spontaneous moment. And to be honest, now I'm addicted to the rush of taking a photo of someone without asking their permission. I find it exciting and challenging, and of course I still get nervous and lose confidence from time to time, but I've learned to push past that to be able to make the photos I want to make. Personally, I think it's super important to be documenting life, as things change all the time, and we want to be able to look back on how the world once was down the line in the future. The ultimate aim of the street photography process though for me has always been to come away with some great photos over time to build up a body of work that I'm really happy with and that hopefully resonates with other people. But recently I've been thinking a lot about if I actually enjoy the process of doing street photography more than the resulting photos. As even when I get photos I really like, I often share them with the world on social media and they completely flop, and that can be quite hard to take. For me, street photography is a double-edged sword. I take it very seriously and I strive to make amazing work, and that can be really overwhelming at times and actually stress me out. But on the flip side, street photography does so much for my mental health too. It gets me outside, it gets me observing, using my eyes and testing myself. It's exciting and I get shots of adrenaline when I see a moment that I have to capture on my camera, and when I do manage to get that shot, it can be really quite an amazing feeling and process. I'd love to know how you feel about it. Do you take street photography seriously, or do you just do it for fun, or maybe both? I'd love to know more about your process, the bits you enjoy and the bits you find hard in the comments. To be honest, I also often hate sharing my work on social media. Even if it does okay or if it doesn't do well, it can be so hard to break yourself away from negative thoughts when it comes to social media, at least for me. But then again, on the flip side of that, you have to show your work somehow. I know I definitely overthink it, but when you're trying to be creative and you want to make work that other people resonate with, it can be a bit of a roller coaster of a process. The images in this video, it's funny, when I got the scans back I was initially quite disappointed. They're all a bit fuzzy, not the best quality. I was thinking, was it me doing something wrong, or was it the camera? And I thought, damn, there's some great moments here and I wish I'd just taken my digital camera out and got the shots properly. But then I remembered why I went out with the film camera in the first place. To have a break from the digital photography experience, and I'd forgotten how much fun I had just being on the street and making those images, regardless of how good they were. This was all about the process, and the resulting photographs were just a byproduct of that. There are actually a few shots in this video that I'm really happy with, even if they are technically not that great. So what actually is better? The process of doing street photography or the resulting photos? Well, some of you might say to go out and take street photos without caring about the photos you make is kind of pointless, but I'm not so sure. There's something to be said for heading out with a camera, any camera, focusing on being in the moment, on the process of making photos and just being there. Sharpness is overrated anyway.